of us telling our story. And that aspect had never even crossed our mind of us not being chosen. From beginning to end, we held the intention that we were going to tell this story, that space belonged to us,
yes,
to tell that story, because it is built on, because we did put it down on Syuxtun, and there's a whole history, Syuxtun being, one of the, if not the biggest village sites, in that whole area.
yes,
it's a lot of people believe that the mission area, housed, and was the principal village site for the Chumash people, but that's not true. You had Syuxtun, you had Mikyu, you had Hitlo, and all of these other sites that were just teeming with the ancestors.
Yeah.
So, and thousands and thousands of people. So I really felt that that we were being guided, and that because and not just us. I think when we started to tell our story, because we're all storytellers, and I think we're all educators, and as Native people, we have responsibilities to tell our stories, not just to our own and to our families, but to
right,
everybody.
right,
Because, we are considered the forgotten people.
Yeah, and I think that the location, the location that it's located is a perfect opportunity, because so many tourists come to Santa Barbara, the Spanish city, the fiesta, and now there is a place that's a reminder of, there were people here before that. We're still here. And it gives the opportunity for people, especially tourists, to ask questions like, what is this representation here?
And we all, the original, 7 artists that sat down and did this design, we have all agreed to continue to be those storytellers, being responsible for, for this living, breathing, piece of work that we gave birth to.
Right.
So.
And I think not only just the piece, but I think that it has given life to the community as well. As there was some disconnect in the community, and I think the life to bring unity together. That piece was a big part of that. Can you speak on that, Ray?
Well, it's interesting that, the whole development of it is just the energy that it created, the circle, I mean, people are talking about it in our community. It's the circle of inclusiveness and equality. When you're in the circle, your mere energetic presence makes you equal, regardless of title,
right,
age, gender.
Yes, there's no hierarchy either.
Your intention to be there in the circle makes you equal.
Right.
So, I would like to say that, in our core group, we had Gloria Liggett and Michael Cordero and Sue Nakao, my wife, and Carmen Sandoval and Stephen and Chuck. And also, we had a contractor advisor as well, LAD Design.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the circle. And we're going to be showing throughout this, we're going to show pictures of the story circle. Stephen, would you like to make some comments about, and just, some of the symbolism and representation within that circle, the story that came before?
Well, when we sat down, we had a meeting at Rusty's Pizza, and we sat down and we decided there were several elders and people from the community who are artists, and we decided to to talk about the 3 worlds in our oral narratives, and we were trying to figure out how can we tell this story in a circle format rather than doing it this linear
right,
1, 2, 3, and so I had this idea, and I took out a paper plate. You know, we were at a pizza parlor. I took out a paper plate, and really just by looking at some of the designs, you know, I just started to draw the different worlds.
Uh-huh.
And then, you know, and then everybody said, okay, you know, that's great. That's how we're going to do this. And you know, it was really effortless, you know, and because, you know, I've grown up here, and I've been fortunate enough to not have a disconnect
Okay.
from you know, our culture. I've been tremendously, you know, fortunate and gifted to have had, you know, my grandmother and my aunties and uncles who have been storytellers, have been tribal leaders, have been, you know, and it's really just listening to what they had to say, and listening to their stories, and really following just following the direction that they had pointed, you know, some of us in.
Yes.
And so I started thinking, you know, okay, let's look at these oral traditions, and you know, we'll go to you know, the story of the three worlds, and what did Fernando Librado, you know, Quetzalcoatl say about those things? What did you know, Grandma Maria Solares say about all of these things? So it was turning to the oral traditions, stories from our families, you know, the songs, and really just listening to those things. And then as the story, you know, began to unfold, we kind of just said, you know, okay, now let's just draw it out. And I think the great thing was that we have Sue, Ray's wife, who is an art teacher, and who, you know, fortunate for us, you know, is incredibly talented and listens and pays attention and has a great eye for detail, and she took the ideas of that the design, you know, from this paper plate and from the stories, and she just drew it all out. And she said, here's my idea. And, you know, we said, this is incredible. And we added, you know, until, you know, each person had pieces of, you know, this incredible story. Starting with, you know, the upper world.
Right.
Where the sky people live, and how those sky people, you know, gave creation to us, to the middle world, where we live. And, you know, we incorporated our Creole culture. We incorporated, you know, various times, you know, prehistory, history, up to now.
Right. Yes. There's so many aspects of, you know, the stories that we heard during our childhood, and yes, and then we have the Tamil, which is, you know, I believe that it was the modern Tamil that was built in the 70s that was included in that.
Yes, it was. And the great thing about having included in that was that some of the brothers from that brotherhood in 1976 actually came to the workshop and participated in the fabrication. And so it was great, you know, having them there, being able to cut tile, you know, clean tile, and tell us stories.
Mm-hmm. Can you comment on that, Ray?
Well, I felt so lucky to have the elders coming from Lompoc and Santa Maria and Santa Ynez and all over, and participating in building this and you know, putting their energy in the circle and with their tile and telling the stories and sharing with us. And so there was really a lot of mentoring going on, and a lot of sharing, and a lot of love, you know, I have to say. So everybody felt it.
Yeah.
It you know, we were it.
Can you talk about, like, some of the reactions that the elders have had to be able to go to the beach now and to see this there? You know, during their generation, they, you know, people were put to shame and stuff for being Native, and they've had to hide this. And now, you know,